India's cut to goods and services tax rates kicks in today. Of course, since morning, expectations are for lower GST rates on everyday goods to translate to an increase in consumer demand. The success of the government's decision to slash the 12% and 28% rates under GST, it hinges on businesses passing on the cuts to consumers. In this next report, we decode how the process of transmission to consumers usually takes time, and the real benefits for an average consumer may also take time thereafter. Take a look.
Finance Minister announced a slew of reforms to the GST rates after a council discussion on the recommendations from a group of ministers. A CRISIL report shows that the GST rate cuts are said to benefit 11 of the top 30 consumption items. That covers about a third of the monthly spend of an average Indian consumer. These 11 items include essential milk products, automobiles, beauty services and processed foods, which have seen a surge in demand in recent years. The average GST rate will be lower for a majority of food and household items from 11% to 9% from Monday. They will attract either 0% or a 5% tax rate. The middle class is likely to gain the most, given greater tax relief on essentials and lower value items. The GST cut complements the income tax relief announced for this segment in the budget earlier this year. The GST rate has been reduced across all categories of cars. The tax rate for entry-level small cars has been lowered from 29% to 18%. The effective rate on premium cars too will be lower as the compensation cess has been removed. A CRISIL report estimates an 8 to 9% fall in the average prices of the small car segment, a 3.5% fall in mid-sized sports utility vehicles and a 6.7% fall in premium SUVs. The rate on standard two-wheelers has been cut from 28% to 18%, lowering their prices by nearly 8%. The purchase value limit for availing 5% GST on clothing has also been raised to 2,500 rupees. That will provide additional relief for middle-income families. CRISIL noted the differentiation is deliberate. The reforms are designed to give relief on mass consumption goods while shoring up revenues through higher taxes on luxury items. While more than 20% of the consumer price index, the CPI basket is covered by GST cuts. Only 1.2% of goods in the CPI basket face a hike. The share of items with zero GST has risen to 47% from 35.3% previously. The GST reforms come when consumption needs to be supported through tax relief, lower borrowing costs and income tax cuts announced earlier this year. Consumption accounts for 57% of India's GDP. Business Bureau, WION The World.
All right, WION's reporters and correspondents are deployed in different parts of the country. I'm now being joined by our senior special correspondent Idris Loan, joining me from Srinagar, and I'm also joined by Dharamjot Kaur, who's joining us from New Delhi. Idris, let me come to you first. GST, of course, on agricultural machinery, we discussed this earlier as well. It has been slashed to 5%. What are shopkeepers and dealers telling you? Are farm equipments and tools expected to become more affordable now?
Well, absolutely. Everyone is definitely happy, especially related to the agriculture, horticulture industry, as well as the tourism and the tourism industry as well in Jammu and Kashmir. We've seen since morning, we've spoken to the retailers, we've spoken to the dealers. Both are very extremely happy that the GST rates have been slashed. If we talk about the two industries, especially horticulture industry, the equipment, the fertilizers, pesticides, everything has been slashed to 5%, which is a great news for the horticulture industry, which actually contributes to around 15% to the GDP of Jammu and Kashmir. The tourism industry on the other side will also be benefited because the tourists will now get rooms at cheaper rates. Their GST has also been slashed down as well. I'm right now joined by the Chamber of Commerce President in Srinagar for Kashmir Division, Tariq Saab. We'll ask him what it really means for Jammu and Kashmir in terms of, Tariq Saab, what does it mean, the slashing of GST for Jammu and Kashmir? अगर हम सिर्फ जम्मू कश्मीर की बात करें, हॉर्टिकल्चर, टूरिज्म को लेकर भी बात करें, तो GST स्लैश होने से कितना फ़ायदा हो सकता है?
देखिए, पहले मैं सबसे पहले मुबारकबाद देना चाहता हूँ ऑनरेबल श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की, क्योंकि आज ये पहली बार है जब जीएसटी में कमी हो गई। और इसका मुझे लगता है मेन हमारे 3 सेक्टर इसमें आ गए। हॉर्टिकल्चर आ गया, टूरिज़्म आ गया और हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स आ गया। इसमें हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स वालों को काफ़ी बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे, क्योंकि जीएसटी स्लैश जो है वो नीचे आ गई काफ़ी। हमारे होटल रूम्स का जो टैरिफ 18 था वो 5 पर आ गया, दूसरा 12 पर आ गया, तीसरा 18 पर आ गया। मुझे लगता है एक बहुत बड़ी पहल है, क्योंकि ज़्यादातर लोग इस जीएसटी से रूम्स से परेशान हो जाते थे जब इनको एंड में जीएसटी लगता था, क्योंकि तो कस्टमर को ही देना पड़ता है। तो मुझे लगता है इट इज़ अ बिग रिलीफ फॉर द पीपल, स्पेशली फॉर द 3 सेक्टर्स ऑफ J&K।
और अगर हम इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बात करें तो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो रही है, क्या आप सुबह से देख रहे हैं कि कुछ चीज़ें हो रही हैं यहाँ पे, और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स क्या कर रहा है?
देखिए, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बात मैं अगर करूं, पहले लोगों को काफ़ी दिक्कतें आई हैं, तो इसलिए हमने कल ही मीटिंग एक की हुई है चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स प्रोग्राम बनाएंगे इसमें अलॉन्ग।
I'd like to now cut across to Dharamjot, who's there with us. Idris, I'll come back to you. Just stay put there. I'll cut across to Dharamjot, who's there in New Delhi. Dharamjot, you're at the Directorate General of GST Intelligence. You're right outside the office there. That's where you were last time we spoke. Give us more on what you've picked up on ground. And of course, there is an expected surge in spending power that the consumer might just get after this GST rate cut. How is that expected to impact the festive season, which has now started?
Well, Shivan, as we know, when festive season kicks in, Indian shoppers are out and about on the streets, and so that that sort of a traffic on the roads has been doubled in terms of relief and joy with a reduced GST rate across industries for sure. The last time we spoke, yes, I was rightly outside the GST intelligence officer's compound. Now I am in an area which is replete with showrooms for automobiles, another industry which has seen a major reduction in the GST slabs. So coming to that, we know how it is year on year, Shivan. You know, the Diwali bonanza definitely is a time when we see a lot of middle class consumers and upper middle class consumers purchasing two-wheelers and four-wheelers. So the reduced GST rate is definitely a sense of relief for all the buyers who will be lining up outside these showrooms in the days to come. When I was speaking to a lot of sales managers and other officials at these showrooms, there's still a lot of buzz in terms of orders and new rates that are trickling down into showrooms across the country. In fact, when I entered one of these showrooms a few minutes back, there were a lot of inter-department meetings going on, to just try and figure out what are the new rates, the updated documents and selling prices that have come in. A lot of customers having a lot of questions in terms of, what kind of a discount, what kind of a reduced price are they looking at. And the impact is definitely significant when it comes to the automobile industry, Shivan. The difference is anywhere between 50,000 reduced price to some as high as 1.5, 1.6 lakhs for bigger cars. So a lot of joy definitely on that front. What kind of an impact it has on-road price, including insurance and other factors, that is something that is yet to be determined. Like I mentioned before, the devil is definitely in the details. So that's about the automobile sector, Shivan. Coming to apparel, clothes and shoes, and and other goods that see a lot of sale, a lot of demand during the festive season. Again, there's a caveat over there. There's relief, but there's also a caveat. And allow me to explain. All goods that were earlier priced at 1,000 or below for apparel and for shoes, clothes and shoes, the GST has now been relaxed for clothes and shoes of up to 2,500 rupees per product. So up to 2,500, you now have just a GST rate of 5%. That's the good news. The caveat here is GST has increased for clothes and shoes that are above 2,500 rupees. So it is now 18%. And so that is the flip side of the goods that cost above 2,500 rupees. So there is relief, there is definitely joy, there is an expectation from sellers that there is going to be an influx of customers given this sense of relief. But how that pans out, we're going to have to see in the next few days. People are still trying to understand what the ramifications are, what the small details are.
Yeah, you've highlighted the caveat there, and that is essentially where the detail lies, and in that detail is where the catch lies. So, it's not just savings for everyone. It depends on what you're buying, really. And also, Dharamjot, last time we spoke, healthcare and insurance, of course, that's in sharper focus. Medicines are cheaper, at least a certain aspect of them. Insurance premiums are GST free. You've spoken with families dealing with medical expenses. What's the take there? What's the sentiment and the savings like? What have you gathered?
Well, there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel there for families that are going through an incredibly tough time, when it comes to patients of chronic ailments and loved ones who are going through that with them. So we have 33 medicines, life-saving drugs that are now GST free. That's relieving news for all the people who require those medications. Majority of the medicines now have a reduced GST slab that's at 5%. So a lot of common salts and drugs that are used for daily medication, that also has a reduced GST rate. Now the governing government bodies, and this is important to note here, Shivan, since there was a lot of confusion about from the stock that is already in the stores, how is the pricing now going to have an impact? So governing bodies have made it very clear when it comes to medicines that even if the updated price is not reflecting on the product itself, the sellers need to ensure, the shopkeepers and chemists and even the insurance companies need to ensure that the updated price reflects on the receipt and on the bills. So customers are entitled to ask for updated prices with reduced GST effective today, even on the stock that is already in the market at old prices and old GST rates. So that is something that all our viewers should also take a note of. When you're going to purchase medicines out today, they will be given to you at new GST rates. It does not matter when they came into the market. Coming to insurance, as you mentioned, individual health and life insurance again is GST free, as you rightly mentioned. But again, this is going to come into impact for anyone who's going to be a new purchaser or someone who has to renew and pay their annual premium today or after today. For the ones like me who've already purchased it last month, the new GST rates do not apply.
All right, Dharam, let me now quickly cut across to Idris, who's there with us in Srinagar. Idris, the horticulture sector in that part of the country, of course, that is big and they are rejoicing. There are cuts majorly. When it comes to farmers, orchard owners, anything you've picked up, are they rejoicing all out? Are there any other complications, anything that is more complex to understand at this point? Give us your side.
Well, absolutely, Shivan. We did speak to the head of the Chamber of Commerce just a while ago. They're going to hold workshops with the GST officials all across Kashmir division. They've said they'll start from Srinagar's Lal Chowk, which is the commercial center, where they will basically tell the retailers how this can be implemented on the ground. If we talk about the fruit growers, especially the apple growers of Jammu and Kashmir, it's a great news for them because they are the ones who are the backbone of the GDP of Jammu and Kashmir. Around 15% of the GDP is contributed through the horticulture industry in Jammu and Kashmir. And with these equipments and pesticides and fertilizers being the rates being slashed from 15 to 5%, they'll definitely rejoice the moment. But at the ground, if we talk about the situation, they have not really been implemented at the moment. The retailers, the buyers, both really don't know how this has to be implemented, how this has to be taken forward. That's why we're seeing that authorities would need to come on the ground and hold these workshops all across the Jammu and Kashmir, especially in the commercial areas, to the retailers, that how this needs to be implemented. On the other side, we've seen the handicraft industry that has been demanding a slash in the GST from the last many years, because they were selling, the demand was decreasing in the last few years because of the high GST, and they are rejoicing definitely for it, but they're also not sure how this has to be implemented on the ground. So what is more important at this point of time is the implementation on the ground.
Understood.
And the government officials, along with the Chamber of Commerce, will have to work together to reach out to more people on the ground for the implementation.
Yeah, when it comes to implementation, as you rightly pointed that out, there is confusion there. What exactly is to be done? It's going to take some time. Let's just call it a teething problem. At least as of now, it's just been a couple of hours since GST 2.0 rolled out, and there is definitely a lot of cuts, and the festive season has just started. There is going to be more disposable income. How this pans out, we'll need to wait and watch. We are going to be reporting on this constantly. That was Dharamjot Kaur joining us from New Delhi, and Idris Lone from Srinagar getting us the latest on ground. Thanks so much.